Let's turn our attention to the auto sector. Now, the month of August has been tepid for automakers, particularly the passenger vehicles, the four-wheelers. Two-wheelers have fared relatively better. Now, the industry body, FADA, has also raised the alarm on rising inventory levels, which, according to some estimates, stand as high as 7.8 lakh vehicles and valued at 77,800 crore rupees. Over the last 24-48 hours, car makers like Maruti Suzuki and M&M have rolled out offers and discounts to drive up sales ahead of the festive season. So to talk about all this and more, we have with us Hormazd Sorabjee, editor at AutoCar India, joining in. Hormazd, thank you very much for joining in. This is Reema here. First, to your mind, how would you assess, characterize what's happening on the ground right now?
I mean, to be honest, it's quite natural actually, because you have to just rewind a couple of years and see, what happened post-COVID. You had obviously a huge pent-up demand, and in fact, that long tail of demand of COVID just about has gotten mopped up. You had a major supply crunch, semiconductor issue. So clearly, it was like there was just a huge supply constraint, and demand was outstripping that. Now there's no supply constraints. I think that pent-up demand has been completely absorbed, and frankly, it's back to business as usual. And don't forget, we are operating on a very high base. Last year, we had record sales over 4.2 million. Now, to expect a lot of growth from that, I think it's not sustainable. But I think overall volumes are still pretty decent. And if you go back to 2019 before COVID, I mean, you're seeing now the natural demand in the market kind of play out. And with that, you will see some offers. And obviously, before the festive season, it's nothing new to see in this time period where all the offers are rolled out. So I think, to me, it's just back to business as usual.
Hormazd, so right now you're not really worried about the rising inventory that we just mentioned as far as the system is concerned. Which segment of the market will you be more concerned over? In fact, Maruti, one of the largest PV makers, have actually said that they expect quite a bit of a moderation in demand. So, how are you looking, especially at the PV industry currently?
I think across the board, there's going to be a moderation. I think clearly what we've seen is that the lower end of the market still...
Sorry to interrupt you, but the RBI Governor, Shaktikanta Das, is speaking again at the FICCI IBA Annual Banking Conference. We need to cut across. Keep coming back to that, but we were in conversation with Hormazd of AutoCar. Thank you very much, for waiting on patiently. You were telling us about the passenger vehicles and the kind of discounts that we've seen from the likes of Maruti.
Yeah, so I think, this is actually quite normal. One has to remember that a lot of the manufacturers took advantage of the huge supply constraint, as well as the huge kind of, boom in demand after COVID. Two things which really kind of led to, this huge supply constraint. And I think let's go back a few years again and remember that earlier it was getting an early delivery was the new discount. At that time, people were happy to pay the full price. They just wanted the car as soon as they could get it. There were waiting periods of over a year on popular models. So I think that's all changed right now. And clearly, we've come back to a very natural kind of, let's say, environment in the market. Also, what manufacturers did, a lot of them, including Mahindra, raised prices well beyond what they had launched. That just to take advantage of really the demand that there was and the supply constraint. Now that's all kind of balancing out, and clearly you are getting the offers to keep that demand and the volumes going. I'm not too worried about the volumes, honestly. They will be flat, but again, it's a very high base. Don't forget, a lot of manufacturers have added capacity, so they do need those numbers. But I think as we go into the festive period, I think, we'll see with these offers demand picking up.
Hormazd, now coming to the two-wheeler space, what we want to ask you is, number one, there's quite a lot of intense competition as far as this particular space is concerned. But some of the incumbents, actually, if you look at TVS, Hero, as well as Bajaj Auto, they've actually done very well in terms of sales, at least in the last 3 months. So number one, how are you looking at the incumbents? And also, what is your view on Eicher Motors? They seem to be slipping in terms of market share. And are all of them going to cede market share to Ola?
Well, I think, clearly, I think the two-wheeler market is coming back. It shows, that there's kind of a rebound at the lower end of the pyramid. And I think I've always believed that, the everything that the legacy players know this business better than the new players, because clearly it's a very oily business. It's a very nuanced business. It's very, very granular. And, I think it's not easy to kind of break into this. Of course, Ola has disrupted the market. But frankly, I think, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors around what they're doing. I think, for me, right now, just one product, and that to a product which has really been kind of, let's say, rebadged or imported. They're buying market share right now. We've seen that profitability is nowhere in sight. So frankly, I don't see them as being a long-term threat at all. And I think that's where the legacy players will fight back. I think on the EV space, clearly they are in a wait and watch mode. They could definitely pump out more EVs, be it Bajaj or TVS, but clearly, there's no margin on that, and really the margin comes from their ICE products. So I think, looking at the two-wheeler space, I am just bullish on the legacy players, kind of really ruling the roost there for a while.
Okay, well put, yeah.
Talking on Eicher, yeah, I think Eicher really, Enfield, I think you will see new products coming out from, RE. And clearly, I think, from in that sense, obviously there will be slippage, but, it's very cyclical as well. I think there's a whole raft of products coming out, and I'm sure, it's such a strong brand. In fact, it's a brand that goes beyond the product. I think, they have a bounce back at some point.
Okay, so Ola's buying market share and not a threat to the incumbent players. So I've got two quick questions and we've got 1.5 minutes. I'm going to squeeze them in. One, what about the discounts on the luxury cars like BMW, Mercedes, etc.? Because those prices have ballooned, post-COVID. And secondly, what would be the top 2 or 3 exciting launches one should watch over the next 3-4 months?
Well, I think, looking at I think looking at the luxury end, I mean, now, a crore seems to be quite normal for a luxury car. In fact, the growth has been in that segment, what Mercedes calls the top end luxury vehicles, which is a crore plus. Very, very small base, but a lot of growth over there. Frankly, I don't see, I think that's one market which has been resilient because if people have money, they'll buy it. They're not too bothered about, whether it's what discounts they get over there. But I think lower down in the, let's say the mainstream luxury market, of course, discounts are rampant again. And again, prices have actually just gone through the roof. I think the other thing what we've not realized is that for whatever reason, there could be regulation, emission, raw material, prices have just gone up and up and up. So I think we are just seeing a natural correction of what the values of these products, even at the luxury end, should be. But I think, it's more in the mass market that we are going to see a little bit more correction, as far as pricing goes.
And the launches?
Yeah, launches,
2 or 3 exciting ones, yeah.
I think the big one for me is going to be the Thar Roxx, which is, I think, really going to knock it out of the park. Looking at the kind of response that has been at the dealerships, I would even say I wouldn't be surprised if they get close to 2 lakh bookings. It's just a guess, because they're really, it struck a chord, and it's just this combination of cars becoming a little bit more emotive, especially after COVID. People have fallen in love with cars again. And I think this is a reflection of that. I think what will also be interesting is the new Alcazar, which Hyundai are launching. It's a facelift as well. But again, for Hyundai, it's very important that, they kind of get success in now whatever models that they have looking at the IPO. I think the Tata Curve EV is very interesting because the EV, the Curve EV, looking at its pricing, the response to that is going to be very critical, because that will determine the response to EVs in general. So if the Curve EV doesn't fly, that's not good for the overall EV market, because it's super well priced, it's very well equipped, got a lot of range, and Tata has thrown everything it possibly can into the Curve EV. So yeah, we've got to just see, how that does. So I think these are really the 3 big launches this year.
Right. Thank you so much, Hormazd, for joining us and giving us a lowdown as what exactly is happening as far as the auto space is concerned. Let's now take a short break. Up next, we'll discuss market fundamentals with Jyotivardhan Jayapuria of Valentis Advisors.